You are listening to the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and, of course, the Glebe Central Pub. I'm your host, Brandon Pillar, joined by Jack Richardson, Lalime's Martian for another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, Postcast presented by the Glebe Central Pub. You guys know the Glebe Central Pub, our pub at 779 Bank Street in the heart of the Glebe. And we love the Glebe Central Pub because they love Ottawa Senators fans. They got the Send Shuttle. That's going to take you to and from the games whenever you need. Check out their schedule on the Glebe Central Pub website and go get some food, some drinks, have a couple laughs there as well. It's the Glebe Central Pub, our pub in the heart of the Glebe. Boys, it was another Ottawa Senators win as they get the 5-2 victory over the Philadelphia Flyers. It wasn't maybe necessarily as dominant as a 5-2 score looks like, Martian, but still, this team finds a way to get it done, and they get a big win here.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly wasn't always pretty in that one, Pilsy, but that's what good teams do. They find ways to win these games, and you know, they got the lesser opponent here, and they found a way to beat them. So at the end of the day, Sens fans have no reason to complain about anything. We got to be happy about this one, fellas. I mean, just coming away with a W in this one. Forsey played great, and I thought the boys just rallied around him there. So it was solid. Good to see him get the W there.
Jack, how you feeling about this one?
Yeah, this is one of those games, if it happens in like December, maybe even January, you kind of start to nitpick some things, be like, I wasn't perfect. It's kind of 2 in a row. They didn't look great, but this time of year, 2 points is 2 points is 2 points is 2 points. That's my motto down the stretch here. Any win is big for the Ottawa Senators, especially on the road. Not many road games left after tonight. And if they can rack up some points, it makes me feel confident if and when they get to playoffs, they can get it done on the road. So in a back-to-back situation, 2 hard-fought games, I'll take that any day of the week.
There's lots of storylines for this game, too. A couple milestone nights, including the captain, Brady Tkachuk, opening the scoring once again, and he gets his 400th point, but that's not the only milestone he gets, as he now is 4th in most goals in franchise history, passing Marian Hossa with 189. Only Daniel Alfredsson, Jason Spezza, and Alexei Yashin are ahead of him, all captains of the Ottawa Senators. And then he moves into 6th place in most points in franchise history with 400. Alfie, Spezza, Carlson, Yashin, and Redden are ahead of him. He's only 10 behind Redden for 5th, so it's not that crazy to think that he could get 11 points to finish out the season and move into 5th place. How good is it to see Brady Tkachuk scoring goals again? I mean, he only had one night off. He had a 5-game goal streak, but anytime Brady Tkachuk scores, this team gets into the game, eh, Martian?
Yeah, and it didn't take him long in this one, Pilsy. 24 seconds into the game, we get off to a real hot start with that. Great play by Giroux to get it over to Tkachuk, and he made no mistake with that one. He just let her fly, and great goal. Way to get the boys fired up and set the tone for the game. I love that stuff from Brady Tkachuk, as you know.
First shot on goal all game, and it's a goal for the Senators. And Dylan Cousins also with a milestone goal, his 200th point, an absolute beauty. And then another big storyline I want to talk about in this one, guys, is my key to victory in today's episode of Locked On Senators podcast was, look, the Red Wings game, that was as Jack says, 2 points is 2 points is 2 points. You got it. You won in regulation. But getting outshot like that and only relying on the power play to score is not what you want to see. Well, how about tonight, Martian? 4 even strength goals, and then they even get the empty netter. Like, that's got to instill some confidence in this team that they don't need to rely on the power play to get things done all the time.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Steve Stais set out to do, I think, at the deadline by bringing in a guy like Dylan Cousins. And we know his 5-on-5 numbers were much better than Josh Norris. And we know Josh Norris is a great player, but Dylan Cousins just seems to find a way to create chances when they're at even strength. And that's just what you're looking for, right? And I think you got to give him a lot of credit for the Sens, starting to find more success at 5-on-5. Zetterlund as well is, he's not getting a lot of ice time or opportunity quite yet with the team. I think that'll change, but the boys are finding ways right now to just create those chances off the rush and through turnovers. And I think that it's a good trend for sure heading into the playoffs, where it's going to be a lot more tight checking. There's going to be less penalties. The power plays are going to be harder to come by. They need to produce at 5-on-5. And tonight they did just that. And that's what you like to see, boys.
Jack, where did this game really turn around for you? Because the Senators, they got off to a quick lead, then they lost it. Then they got off to another lead, then they lost it. Like, where did you feel confident that this team was going to get it done?
I think honestly, after the second period, I know that that's a cop-out, right? You go into a third period with the lead in a game you need to win against a bad team. It's obvious to say that they were going to get it done at some point, but just the second was really back and forth. Like, just lead, they kept losing the lead. Flyers would tie it. It was back and forth, back and forth. Michael Amadio's goal, he's just, I wouldn't say even catching fire, but he's just producing at a clip that you want your third line guy producing at. I've really liked that line. I liked really Greg a lot tonight. I think that line was their best all night, and I'm glad they got rewarded twice with Pinto's empty netter too. So to me, that's kind of where, like, right after Amadio scored, I felt like they kind of settled down. They said, okay, we got this. We've got 3 goals here. Just lock it down. We know what to do. A couple breakdowns in the second period that led to the goals, but overall, like, just kind of a quiet game. And that's what you can't ask for much more in that regard. Like, the Flyers didn't really get a ton of great looks after Amadio's goal, I thought.
It was wide open there for a little while, boys?
Oh, yeah.
It was like back and forth. You could see a lot of guys cheating out there on the offensive side of it, especially in Philly's way. But it was just crazy how, the game just kind of opened up in the middle of it. And it was just like, all right, here we go. It's going to go back and forth here.
Sens had at least 3 odd man rushes in the second, maybe 4, 5. Like, they were all over it. Cousins had a breakaway. Pinto and Highmore had a 2-on-0. Like, that's off the top of my head, but I feel like Ridley Gregg was in alone. It's crazy. And
then, Jack, they had that 4-on-1 chance where Matthew Highmore turns it over, and then, oh my God, live, it looked like Forsey got over to make that pad save. He was there, though. I don't know if he would have made that save, but he was there. But nobody back checks like a guilty player that just turned the puck over on a 4-on-1. Matthew Highmore, I know maybe Sens fans aren't the biggest fan of his, but you saw the speed when they did the replay, clocking his kilometers per hour. He was coming in at 32 kilometers per hour on the back check. And it was crazy because he was hustling so hard that he was kind of chugging along with the stick, and he had to swing his stick all the way over, and he times it perfectly. When they slow down and zoom in on that replay, it was a thing of beauty that he was able to get his stick and knock it down from, I believe it was Couturier on the far side there, because that was a perfectly executed tic-tac-toe play by the Flyers.
Yeah, exactly, Pilsy. And he knew he had to be the guy to get back to prevent that from going in, because if not, he would have been on the first Greyhound back to Belleville because that's the way it's going to work for him. He's fighting for a job every night out here. So, I think everybody can agree he probably didn't have his best game of the season here tonight, Matthew Highmore. But this is maybe the first time I've really looked at him and been like, he's not looking great out there. He can't keep up, whatever it might be. But I think he'll probably bounce back. I don't think we can expect any changes to that fourth line. They're still winning hockey games. And that save was fantastic, boys. Like, just for him to be able to get back there, and there's got to be a little element of luck involved. Maybe the hockey gods just like love Matthew Highmore and they want to keep him around in the big show. But that was pretty funny, man. that he was able to get a stick on that, because Forsberg's going to have to buy him a dinner, even though it wasn't his fault. It was Highmore's fault from the very start.
Yeah, that was a huge point in the game too, because if you have a 4-on-1 and you can't even get a shot off, let alone turn it over and allow the other team to get a 3-on-1, and you let them score on that, that's a major momentum shifter. I kind of forget where the game was at that point. I'm looking through.
It was 3-2, I think. It was still 3-2 at that point, right?
A game-tying goal.
Boys, I don't think we can't talk about how they had 2 shots in the third period here. Like, they didn't get caved in at all, but 2 shots and they end up in the net. The empty netter, and Dylan Cousins as well, man. Like, holy, he's just a machine. So I know we're talking 5-on-5 here. What do you do with the lines? I don't think you touch them, because who's coming out of that top 9 if you want Zetterlund? I know people are talking about Zetterlund, maybe get him going a little bit with the big boys, but I don't want to move Perron down now. He's clicking. That line had 2 goals at 5-on-5 tonight. So I don't know, man. They might just ride it out. I could see them riding it out. If they were going to tinker with anything, it would have been tonight for sure.
Yeah, I don't think you touch it now. You're right, Jack. And I know that many people in the fan base are anxious to get more of Fabian Zetterlund moved up the lineup. I think a lot of people had him penciled in different spots, on the top line, second line, third line. Nobody saw him coming on the fourth line. And that's, of course, where he ends up slotting in. But the way the team is chugging along, like you said, you can't really screw with it, right? Because, as soon as you do that, it just changes the mojo of the team in a way. And like you said, nobody in that top 9 right now is losing their job. They're all playing great. I think that, for the most part, everyone's playing well and doing their job. So you can't really just move Zetterlund up just for the sake of doing it. Maybe if there's in the middle of a game where they're looking a little slow, or maybe they go down by a couple, you can start fiddling with things. But as long as they're winning, then I don't see any reason to change it either.
Yeah, and I mean, Zetterlund is getting time on the power play. And I mean, he just got to the team and he's playing back-to-back games, one at home, one on the road. Like, it's a bit of a whirlwind for him to expect him just to be able to slot in and play the minutes and the role that he was playing on a rebuilding San Jose Sharks team. So I'm not upset that he's starting on the fourth line for these games, but I think there will be a time where he moves up. I want to see him play with Tim Stützle at least once, try that out. But when that will be, or when that needs to be, Jack, I don't think is anytime soon. Like, if they were losing these games, sure, that's different, but they're finding ways to win, so I'm okay with it.
Look, I completely agree with easing him in, and I'm not saying the two are similar players, but look what Dylan Cousins is doing, man. He's playing top 6 minutes right away. He came from a situation in Buffalo that wasn't great, and he's been unbelievable here so far. He's just goal after goal. He's got points in every game so far. So I think Cousins is the better player overall. I do think, though, that, Zetterlund was brought in just to have this depth on the wing, and it's depth for when you need it. And right now they don't technically need it. All the wingers are pulling their weight. So I think it's just kind of interesting that as soon as they get a guy, the other guys start to step up, like Amadio. I thought Greg's had a great couple games. Obviously he scored against the Rangers too. Like, it's just, everything's clicking. And I think that's what adding at the deadline does, man. It lights a fire under everyone on the team, where they got the confidence of management saying, here we go. And Steve Stais just said, we're going for it here. And I thought he was going to start Marilainen tonight because he wanted all the wins. But Forsberg was pretty good. I think he has 5 wins in his last 7 starts now, Anton Forsberg, dating back to obviously in January. But how's that for Forsberg? What do you guys think of Forsy tonight?
Well, I think Martian and I might be on different sides of it, but I think we've met in the middle with the result of this game. Martian was harsh on Forsy in our group chat early in the game, and I was coming to Forsy's defense, #goalie friendly show. But I think he made big saves when he had to. I think the defense let him down at times, but also bailed him out at times too. So I think this is the kind of game you want to see from your backup goalie that hasn't had a start in 33 days. Like, it's a lot to put on his plate when you're riding Allmark like they have been, but I think he got the job done here, and he instilled confidence in this team, and he was able to keep, like, the thing you want with your backup goalie, and Martian, let me know if you think differently, is just to keep you in games. I don't think you expect your backup goalie to steal you wins like you would with your number one guy, but give your team a chance, and I think Forsy did a fine job doing that tonight.
Yeah, no, I agree, Pilsy, and I know I was a little hard on him in the group chat just on that second goal. I thought maybe he had a better chance to save that one, and
Yeah,
that
wasn't great.
and that's the thing. Group chat conversations are meant to be kept private for a reason here, Pilsy. So I got a bone to pick with you on that.
I mean, I didn't fully put you on blast. I didn't even quote what you said. I think I was pretty loose with it there. I've praised you from group chat convos as well, so I give and take, Marshy.
That's fair enough, man. But that's a lot of like just emotional reaction, whatever it might be, right?
Totally.
It's a big game, and yeah, at the end of the day, Forsberg got the job done. So you're not going to find me complaining about Anton Forsberg tonight. That's for sure, especially on a goalie-friendly show like this one.
There we go. And if you want to get the job done, having a good time out on the town, there's only one place to go. It's the Glebe Central Pub. It's our pub in the heart of the Glebe. Visit them at 779 Bank Street, and they've got the Send Shuttle. Go check out the website. You can see all the Send Shuttle dates. We're winding down the season here, guys. If you're one of those Sens fans that lives in the area and you're like, I haven't been able to get out to Sens games. I want to, though. Don't stop making excuses. There's a bus that takes you from the pub to the game, watch the game, back to the pub, all for $17 round trip. In this economy, you're not going to get better prices with an Uber, and Sue will get you faster than an Uber or your buddy driving or anyone. You could be like Martian and you could try to run to and from the game, and you won't get there faster than what Sue can do for you. We love the Glebe Central Pub too because they've got great food. We had the smash burgers last time in honor of the Hamburglar. I love the buffalo chicken wrap. I love their fries, and they got great drinks, lots of fun options there, great beer on draft, and best of all, the service is top notch. So if you want to have a good time in the heart of the Glebe, visit the Glebe Central Pub at 779 Bank Street. It's the GCP where the vibes are free. This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Factor. Are you looking to optimize your nutrition this year? Well, Factor is the way to go. Let me tell you all about it. They've got easy to make chef prepared, dietitian approved meals that are fresh, never frozen, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. The amount of time a minor penalty takes, you can be eating a delicious dinner with over 40 options across 8 dietary preferences every week. You can customize your meal to fit your lifestyle. They got smoothies, breakfast, grab and go snacks to keep you fueled all day long. Factor takes the stress out of meal planning. I love it because the convenience is unbeatable. No prep, no mess, just great food in minutes. So eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 off and use code LockedOnNHL50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. Once again, guys, that's LockedOnNHL50 off, 50 the number, at factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Check it out, guys. It's Factor. All right, boys, we're back. It's the Postcast. I'm alongside my good friends, Jack Richardson, Lalime's Martian, and 629 of my friendly Ottawa Senators fans. Sens fans are best in class. We all know that. And the Ottawa Senators, they're finding ways to become a best-in-class organization as they are in the top wildcard spot in the East, and they're now on a, 4-game winning streak, and they've gotten points in their last 6 games, only a shootout loss to the Caps, and then they beat the San Jose Sharks on March 1st. This has been an awesome run for the Ottawa Senators. Martian, are you feeling like this is actually becoming a real thing that the Ottawa Senators can sustain this type of play, or does it still feel a little bit like a dream and you're waiting for that other shoe to drop? Because we know this team has gone on winning streaks and then they swing back down to a losing streak. How are you feeling about this team's stability?
I'm really liking it, Bills. And I think that you look at Linus Ullmark finding his form again, that December form that he had earlier in this year. I think that he's starting to look a lot better. I think the maturity of this team is at a different level than it's ever been before. You look at David Perron coming in. Michael Amadio is bringing a lot of stability to the bottom 6. Claude Giroux's still here as a good vet. And all the core guys are all a little bit older. And I think they've learned from their mistakes of the past. I think that there's no reason to think that this team can't get themselves into the playoffs in that second or first wildcard spot. And I think that that's obviously the goal here. And I looking at their schedule, I think that it would make a lot of sense for them to be able to do it. And if they don't do it, it's going to be a massive disappointment, I think, at this point, not only for us as fans, but for the guys in that room. And I don't think they're going to let that happen either. They're a determined group. They're treating every game, as I guess they're saying on the bench, and maybe Brady Tkachuk's the only one saying it, but they're just saying, this is game 7, boys. We got to get going here. There's no way.
We're winning no matter what.
We're going to win no matter what. I love that mentality. And I think the guys are really starting to click, and the deadline acquisitions were so smooth. And Dylan Cousins is fitting like a glove on this team. Pilsey's new moniker for him is the hot horse from Whitehorse. He's not just the white horse or
the white horse from Whitehorse.
The workhorse from Whitehorse. He's the hot horse from Whitehorse now, boys. 3 points in 3 games is a send. He obviously a 6 snipe tonight as well. So this team is chugging along so well, and there's no reason to think that they're not going to get in. I think that I am looking forward to the playoffs now at this point of the season.
Jack, I know you've been at a kind of an all-time high with how this team is feeling and how it feels to be a Sens fan. Are you feeling the same as Martian? You've got that confidence that this is sustainable?
Yeah, and I think what's most exciting is we've seen them go on these losing streaks, but the bigger ones this season after the November stretch, you can point to reasons why, and not that they're excuses, but tail end of a road trip in early January, and then you don't have Ullmark. And the most recent one, they had no team. Like half their guys were injured, right? It was Tkachuk, Pinto, Norris were out. Weird break with the Four Nations. Every reason to believe this will maintain, and just their schedule down the stretch, boys, is so favorable. I think they play 7 of their last 8 at the CTC. They make up all those games from
and the road game is against Columbus, Jack.
Yeah, so it's a big one, right? They got 3 big ones against Columbus. You can't look past those, but just overall, I'm feeling very confident. We're gonna have a lot of games like tonight where you're playing teams like the Flyers, where they don't have a ton to play for anymore, right? Like maybe guys trying to get to milestones in the season, but that doesn't really breed winning hockey, in my opinion. So we've seen our fair share of it down the stretch in Ottawa. So it's definitely sinking in, boys. Like I'm this weekend, this week, like just the trade deadline and everything, what they went through. Like it's been a crazy week for the Ottawa Senators, just losing a fan favorite, locker room favorite, Josh Norris. The guy they bring in has been their best player in the last 3 games, I'd say. Dylan Cousins has. I don't think that's crazy. Only had 1 hit tonight, though. He's a bit
soft.
Took a night off in the hit column, but that's still 18 in his 3 games as a Senator. It's crazy. But I think the fact that Cousins made such an impact right away and has made such an impact has made the emotion from Josh Norris's trade mean that much more to me. Do you guys, does that make sense? Like it's just the fact that they're moving on, I think, and that's what's exciting about this. They didn't let that linger at all.
I think they can see the vision, right? On the ice, that Dylan Cousins makes the team better. I think that's the end of it. I think just to finish up on that question, Pilsy, the one thing that would maybe make me worry is this team is extremely streaky. You see them, they go on a 4-game losing streak, then they go 10-2-1, and then they go on a 3-game losing streak, and then they rip off 5 games, and then they, lose 4, and then they rip off, 4 more in a row. It's just like they are streaky, but I don't think they're going to let that streakiness creep back in. I think if we can look at that in the rearview mirror, and they're not going to win out the rest of the year here, but
why not?
Maybe they will. Who knows? But they're looking good here at 73 points in that standings. If you want to look at those standings right now, they are in a solid position. Being whatever it is now, is it 5 points up on the Red Wings, 7 points up on the Red Wings? I mean,
they have 73 and the Red Wings have 66, Martian. So math guy, that's 7 points.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a nice little bit of separation that they have now that they didn't have before. I mean, Detroit not long ago was ahead of them in the standings, and lucky for Ottawa, they're a streaky team too, and they lost 6 in a row. And then, Columbus lost tonight, and, we got 3 games coming up against them. Our fate is in our own hands. It's just really the way you got to look at it. And I think that they're in good hands.
The reason it's so exciting too is the more they go here, and who knows how, like there's four in a row here, 5-0-1 in their last 6 in March. Like the further along they keep this going, like the other teams chasing them are going to run out of games. That's why I'm confident. If they were kind of maybe this streaky team and they were still 3 or 4 points out, it would feel a little bit different. But for the most part, I'd say the new year, the last 2 months, they've been pacing the playoff group after that stretch around Christmas. That's what makes me excited is they're finding ways. Like, yeah, they're streaky. They might fall out of it a little bit, but I think they've maintained that pace. And the more they go here, like what do we have here? 19 games left, 18 games left. The other teams are running out of time. They're running out of time. And that's why those Columbus games, I'm not even as worried about as I was like 2 weeks ago, like I mentioned earlier, just because they don't have as much, the team chasing them need points more than the Sens do right now. And the Sens are still getting points.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome race to the finish. And the Sens have a great strength of schedule and lots of home games. So it is favorable for the Ottawa Senators. Let's take a look at some of the stars of the Sens that had great games tonight. Let's do our Sens Central standouts. Jack, how about you lead us off? Who is your Sens Central standout tonight?
I got to go with Brady Tkachuk just opening the scoring. I know he had a bit of a quieter night, maybe overall, but set the tone right away, the captain. And it's just the milestones for me, man. Becoming the 4th all-time goal scorer at the age of 25 in franchise history. Like, this guy's just been so consistent every year. And he's gotten better goal scoring wise every season. And he's had a whirlwind of a season, Brady Tkachuk has. And maybe Sens fans have more in his name, I'd say, right? Like, just all the rumors around him, his Four Nations performance, his performance before that, he was not playing the best hockey. Like, it's been a great season for Brady Tkachuk overall, just a lot going on. And he's just slowly just etching his way up the leaderboard all time for the franchise. That's pretty cool. And I think it's every time these things happen with Tkachuk, I just think about Alfie being on the bench and how cool that is, that the best Senator of all time, the greatest Senator of all time, is watching this guy night in, night out. Like, it's so neat. I wish there was a bit more discussion about that. We just kind of gotten used to it, but it's so cool that they're both in the building every day together, on the ice every day together. They're learning from each other. Like, Alfie has to be rubbing off on Brady Tkachuk, and I think that's a good sign for Sens fans.
Yeah, two Sens legends, Jack. I mean, these guys. I don't think it's too far fetched to say that one day that number 7 could be hanging up right next to Daniel Alfredsson's number 11. I mean, where he is right now and if he happens to stick around for another contract after this, and that's by the end of it, he's gonna be right up there. So I think that it's really cool. Yeah, 2 legendary Sens captains on the same bench, working together. It's funny, Alfie doesn't really get a ton of screen time anymore. Like, you never really see him. It's like they stopped kind of paying attention to him being on the bench.
I kind of think he might have had, not that they overblew it because it was a big deal when he came in, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of told the Sens media team, like, hey, I don't want the spotlight to be on me. Like, it's not about me. I'm an assistant coach. It's about these players. It's about Travis Green, the head coach. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of guy Alfie is. He's not looking for that spotlight. If anything, he's always been a little bit bashful of it and doesn't really want it. So I think it's a good point. Like, it is kind of crazy that Alfie's our assistant coach and we only talk about it and bring it up once in a while. Yeah. Like, if you would have told us 4 years ago, we would have been going crazy about it all the time. So, but that's a good thing, Jack, because I think if, like, last year when this team was struggling, I think that was something we would lean on and be like, hey, at least we got Alfie back in the mix, whatever, right? But now there's other things, there's other pressing things at hand, and just having an alumni guy, I shouldn't say an alumni guy. He's the greatest Sens player ever and a hockey Hall of Famer. Like, I'm meaning no disrespect to Alfie. It just, there's other things that you can focus on and highlight for this team rather than looking at the nods to the past and the connections to nostalgia.
I think it clicked for me when the Brady chants were going on Saturday, and I'm going to be boots on the ground on Thursday. If he has any kind of impact, which I imagine he will, they'll be going again. There's been one other player in franchise history that's gotten that kind of treatment, and it's Alfie, and he's behind him on the bench every night. I love that part, and I think that's pretty cool. But I do agree. I think it's good that he does blend in for the most part, because it's not about Daniel Alfredsson. I just think when you see Tkachuk starting to get closer and closer to him, I know it's a long way away, but he can do it. He can definitely do it, and he's probably going to be the guy to do it if anyone will. So just thought I'd touch on that while I did my long-winded Sens Central standout. But stick taps to Brady Tkachuk, man, just an absolute beast, brings it every night, and I'm so happy to see him get it done.
No, that's a great one. Brady, another great game. And Martian and I are going to crack into our Sun Central standouts right after a word from Wonderful Pistachios, a snack that you can crack in at any time. I love pistachios. Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Well, crack into a source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Pistachios are one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep fuller for longer. The ultimate flavor for me for pistachios is the salt and pepper flavor. Check them out in the light purple bag. But if you don't want to put all the work in and you just want straight pistachios, you can get the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days, whether you're at your desk at work or on a road trip and just need a quick protein boost. They are always my go-to. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, boys. Pistachio Pillsy. Hey, I'll take it. That's a good alliteration.
That said Pistachio. I think that's pretty funny.
Yeah, Tails says pistachio. So yeah, go get your pistachios. Great snack. Also, it is incredible for the Ottawa Senators to be on this 4-game win streak. They get a 5-2 win over the Philadelphia Flyers, despite no goals on the power play. They outshoot the Flyers 24-22. They win the faceoff battle 51.8 to 48.2. They outhit the Flyers 29-24. They outblock the Flyers 22-11. And it's nice to see the Ottawa Senators in a much better spot in the 5-on-5 expected goals percentage than they were against the Red Wings. They win that battle 58.9% to the Flyers 41.1%. Martian, Jack had the captain, Brady Tkachuk, as his Sun Central standout. Who is your Sun Central standout?
Yeah, Pillsy, I'm going to point right to a guy who I think is helping a lot with that 5-on-5 play. And it's just recently, I think, for me, and it's Michael Amadio. He's the only guy on the Senators forward group who had 2 points tonight. Multi-point night for Michael Amadio is not something we get to say very often. We want to give him his flowers for that. But I think just generally, I love a good blue-collar middle six forward, and Michael Amadio is bringing it. And as I tweeted out earlier tonight, too, I just think that he's going to be a very crucial player for this team, not just going down the stretch, but once they get into the playoffs as well. That tight checking game, I think, plays into the arms of Michael Amadio extremely nicely. He reminds me a lot of Nick Paul, and Nick Paul was huge for the Tampa Bay Lightning on their cup run and their times during the playoff runs that they've had. A guy like that is huge to have. Just somebody who can be responsible out there that the coach is going to be able to trust. Long body, he's going to be able to get in the way. And, great little goal tonight, too. And on a chance that really – You think of Michael Amadio, you don't really think of him as a guy who's going to score off the rush. And he comes down that right wing, and he makes a great little shot, nice and low, tough for the goalie to make that save, and great job. And I also, obviously assisted on the empty netter there as well. But I like that little unselfishness from him trying to set up Shane Pinto on that first attempt on the empty net as well there. I mean, he probably should have just shot it and put it away right there. But, he's a good team guy. I liked his interview in the intermissions as well. He seems like a very cerebral type guy, very calm in his interviews. I always like it when the guys say, thanks, Gord, or whoever's asking the questions during that intermission. It just shows that they're really paying attention and they're into the interview. So I'm going to go with Michael Amadio for my standout here tonight. I think that might be the first time I've ever made him my standout, but here we go. That's it.
Thanks, Martian. Great Sun Central standout. Yeah, Michael Amadio, I thought he had a good game, but I do think, Martian, I love the idea of being unselfish there, but sometimes you just got to bury that one. But the hockey gods, they are true and they are just, and they allow Michael Amadio to set up Pinto for an empty net goal later on. So that's just good karma going Amadio's way. So I like that one, Martian. We got Brady Tkachuk and Michael Amadio. I'm going to go what maybe people think is a little off the board here, because I've been watching along in the chat, seeing if anyone has this player as their Sun Central standout. But guys, all aboard. get off the train tracks. Choo choo. I'm going Tyler Kleven in this one. I thought this was a nice game by Tyler Kleven. He ends up scoring a goal. He has 3 shots, 2 blocks, 7 hits, 14 minutes, 55 seconds, finishes as a +1. And I really liked his play on that goal because Perron passes it back to him off the boards, but that's a bouncing puck that not only does he have to make sure that puck doesn't get past him, otherwise it could be a chance for the Flyers the other way, but he's got to cradle it and keep it in the blue line. It actually goes on the blue line, but it's not offside. And then he does the smart thing. Don't try to do too much. Just keep that thing onside and then rip it towards the net. And sometimes good things happen. And he ends up getting a goal there. That puts the Sens up 2-1. Ultimately, the Flyers end up tying it later. But I just thought this was a nice game from Tyler Kleven. And the advanced analytics don't really show a great game for Kleven and Martin Powell, but I thought they were good, especially on a rare night where Zub and Sanderson, I thought, weren't that great defensively. Sanderson does end up with 2 assists, but I really liked Tyler Kleven's game tonight.
Yeah, I think him and Matt and Paolo haven't actually played together that much, right? Just all things as much as we wanted them to. So maybe it takes them some time to get some chemistry. But I like that play by Kleven on the blue line, man. That's one of those ones where he's shooting it because he's like, I got to get rid of it because there's a guy right on me. And I barely kept that in. I don't even know if I kept it in. Throws it on net and it goes in. So like, I like that though, Pillsy. Kleven's been really solid this season. Glad to see him back healthy too after that injury, after the fight against Lalime.
I thought it was going to be so much longer. Remember, he was labeled week to week, and then all of a sudden he's skating and he's ready to roll.
And when they got Gilbert, I kind of thought that might be why they picked up Gilbert, right? And maybe that's even why they played him against the Rangers. I don't know. Maybe Kleven needed some easing in, but he looked good tonight. It's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the Gilbert acquisitions told Tyler Kleven, I need to get back into the lineup here. It's similar to what you were saying.
All of a sudden, I feel a lot healthier, Coach.
I feel a little bit better all of a sudden. My job's all of a sudden like a very similar type of player, I think, between those two. But yeah, Kleven's got those sneaky hands, and I wasn't surprised that he was able to control that puck at the blue line. And the 7 hits, Pillsy, that just tells you, like, I didn't really notice him throwing the body around especially hard tonight. He kind of does that every night, but he kind of like has that Chris Phillips effect where the less you notice him, the better he seems to be playing. And he did that again tonight. So I like that standout. He needs, every chance every time he scores a goal, he should be a standout because it's not really something that we expect from Tyler Kleven.
Yeah, so I wanted to give him a little bit of love there. The good old no accent player. So the Ottawa Senators get the 5-2 win. Let's take, I'll run through the out-of-town scoreboard quickly here. The Carolina Hurricanes help out the Ottawa Senators. Hurricanes versus Lightning. The weather battle. The Hurricanes get the edge here. 4-1 win. That's a nice one for the Ottawa Senators. But the big one, the Devils beating the Blue Jackets 5-3. That's absolutely massive for the Sens. The Bruins end up coming back after being down 2-0. They get the 3-2 win. Other games of note, the Ducks are up on the Capitals. I mean, the Sens are going to catch the Capitals, obviously, but that could be a round 1 opponent. And then the Jets are beating the New York Rangers right now 2-1 with 5 minutes and 44 seconds left. And unfortunately, the Habs are up 2-0 on the Vancouver Canucks, but it's still early in that game. Still 5 minutes left in the first period here. Jack, who have you of the teams that are in the mix for the Ottawa Senators and the wild card race? I'm talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets, New York Rangers, Boston Bruins, Montreal Canadiens, and Red Wings. Which one of those teams kind of concerns you the most, and do you find yourself cheering hardest against on the out-of-town scoreboard?
Probably the Rangers at this point. Probably just not even based on how many points they have, but that is a factor. But also they've just got Shesterkin, man. Like he's gonna steal them so many points down the stretch. He might even do it tonight, still in Winnipeg. So probably the Rangers. But I'm glad you brought up the standings, Pilsy, because we were talking about how they're separating themselves from the pack a little bit. The Sens are closer to the Lightning now than the Red Wings and Habs are to the Sens.
Yeah, 5 points back. Yeah.
So that's kind of what, like, it, depending if you still feel like you're far away from the Lightning, that's how far away these other teams are. That's why I'm feeling pretty good. But overall, it's the Rangers because the Bruins sold, even though they kind of keep winning after the deadline, which is a little bit annoying. Not worried about the Habs. Worried about playing the Habs a little bit. I'll put my hand up there, but That's it. I'd say the Rangers. What about you boys? That might be a popular
Well,
answer.
and also the Rangers tried to steal our captain earlier this year, according to Larry Brooks. So that gave us enough motivation to want to keep them down for sure. I think just the most surprising one for me is just there hasn't been much of a fall off from the Bruins here yet. They could win 2 in a row after the trade deadline, trading their captain Brandon Carlo, and also who was the other guy they got rid of there? Charlie
Coyle. Yep.
Charlie Coyle. So they get rid of
and Trent Frederick a little earlier too. Like they were sellers.
Yeah, I mean you could say like, they got rid of 4 key players off their roster, and I guess they've got a little bit of heart here. So I'm still looking for them to fall off a little bit. Not that they concern me at all. It's just surprising more than anything.
Yeah, I'll probably agree with the Rangers, just because I like the fact that the Sens have 3 games up against the Blue Jackets here, and I'm not so much concerned with the other team in the wild card spot. I'm more concerned about one of the 4 teams, New York, Boston, Montreal, or Detroit, snatching a wild card spot from the Sens. I don't care how the Sens get in. Honestly, I know we look at, okay, if they're here, then they play this team. If they're here, they play this team. It's been 7 years. If they get into the playoffs, I could give a damn who they play. Obviously, there's matchups where I think they would have better chances, but I just get in, baby, and figure it out from there. So that doesn't bother me too much, but it's going to come right down to the wire. I don't think the Sens can be in a position where they feel comfortable or they can take their foot off the gas until I see that little X beside their name in the standings.
Oh, that's going to feel good.
Full pedal to the metal here.
Beggars can't be choosers, Pilsy.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm begging for the playoffs. So choose who's going to be the opponent here. Let's land this plane, wrap things up here. Martian, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my final thoughts are probably a lot similar to my initial thoughts, which were just like it wasn't a pretty game, and the Sens just still found a way to win, and I like that. I like that they're able to do that. Like sometimes they find ways to lose these games, and everything's kind of just coming up Sens right now, and I'm loving it. So that's my final thoughts, Pills.
Jack, final thoughts?
I'm gonna be boots on the ground Thursday. I can't wait. I haven't been in a few weeks here. So I've been to 3 games this year. Home opener, the Islanders won, that first Islanders one that they almost came back in, and then the Washington overtime win, Shabbat overtime in Washington. So that was a good one, but I can't wait to be in that building, man. It sounded like a madhouse last night.
Jack, get ready to see a different version of this regular season crowd. Down the stretch after the deadline like that, it is rocking in the CTC right now. It's fantastic to be in attendance. Anyone who's in the chat who hasn't been to a game yet, you got to get out there, guys, because it's. I mean, if you're living in Ottawa, there's no excuse. Like they're putting the product together for us. Everybody always said we would go to games once, Melnick sells and once the team becomes a winner. Well, now both have happened, so there's no excuse anymore. Even though the rink's not downtown, it's still a great time. So
weather's getting nice too, boys. Like it's daylight savings. Like this is springtime hockey. This is what it's all about.
No excuse. Take the Glebe Central Pub shuttle. You don't even have to worry about how you get there or how you get home. So I'm with you, Martian. If you live in the area, or if you don't, find a way to go to Ottawa Senators games. Everybody, let Trent know. Happy birthday. Boots on the ground. I saw people in the chat already giving him happy birthday messages, but give him a little bit more love there. Thank you, Duggery 500. Appreciate it. Wally, he's liking Martian's new nickname here, White Horse from White Horse. Let's go. And Trent again mentions he was at the game for his birthday. He is a Sens fan, boots on the ground. So we love to see that from our Sens fans here. Best in class, 620 of you in the chat. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. We had 1,000 people in the chat in yesterday's last night's postcast. It was only for a brief moment, but there was quadruple digits here. So Sens fans are passionate. They are locked in here, and why wouldn't you be? It's another Vibecast, our 4th straight Vibecast. The Sens are in the top wild card spot. Brady Tkachuk getting milestone goals. Dylan Cousins continues to shine as an Ottawa Senator, and we even got an Anton Forsberg W. What more could you want from these Ottawa Senators? A 5-2 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm Brandon Pillar. That's Lalime's Martian. This has been another edition of the Postcast presented by the Glebe Central Pub. It's the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.